I always thought hope would sound soft, like a kettle before it boils, or the way my husband, Nate, says my name in the morning. Turns out, hope sounds like fluorescent lights, hard plastic chairs, and a caseworker named Mallory clicking her pen like a nervous metronome. We were at the county adoption office for a matching meeting, a term that felt clinical for something so fragile. After years of infertility and heartbreak, we'd come with our stack of paperwork and a flicker of faith we didn't dare name. Mallory slid a photo across the table, and my breath caught. A little girl. Brown hair cut blunt, bangs uneven, eyes too big for her small face, and not blinking, even under the camera flash. No smile. Just that guarded, knowing look children get when life's already taught them that people leave. Olivia, Mallory said. 5. 2 foster homes. 1 disrupted placement. What happened? Nate asked. Neglect from her biological mother, Mallory said. Left alone for days. She hoards food, doesn't like closed doors. She's quiet, then suddenly angry, survival patterns. She's learned to disappear until it's safe to exist. Nate reached for my hand. We'd like to meet her. The visitation room had a broken dollhouse and a puzzle missing its edges. Olivia sat on a chair, backpack clutched to her chest. Hi, Olivia, I said gently. I'm Mara, this is Nate. She didn't answer. Just looked at the door, memorizing the exit. Nate picked up a puzzle piece. I'm terrible at these, he said with a goofy grin. Think you can help me? For a split second, her mouth twitched, almost a smile, before she looked away. She unzipped her backpack slightly. I glimpsed granola bars, 2 apples, a mustard packet, and a folded birthday napkin. Then she zipped it shut again and held it tighter. We built the puzzle together. Every time she placed a piece, she glanced at Mallory like waiting for permission. When we finished, she brushed her hand across it and said softly, some pieces never come back. A fire alarm chirped suddenly, a test. She didn't flinch or cry. She froze, so still it broke my heart. I put my hand on the floor beside her, palm up. After a long, trembling pause, she placed her small hand on mine, not to hold, but to anchor. On the drive home, Nate and I were silent, afraid to speak the truth out loud, that we'd already fallen for her. At a stoplight, I checked the mirror and saw mustard smeared on my cheek. I smiled and didn't wipe it off. Somehow, it felt like a sign, a little reminder of her. That night, I couldn't sleep. I reread her file, prefers to sleep with shoes on, fast escape, and imagined tiny sneakers thumping under the covers. Then my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Tomorrow's family day at the park. Olivia loves the swings. Wear red so she can find you. Mallory hadn't mentioned any park day. The number didn't reply when I texted back. Still, I whispered into the dark, as if the house could hear me. Red. We'll wear red. The next morning, I tore through my closet like it owed me answers. Red, the text had said. Not maroon, not burgundy, red. The kind that a 5-year-old could spot across a crowded park and think, they came back. Nate watched me hold up a sweater, then a t-shirt, then a scarf. You look like you're preparing for a cult meeting, he teased softly, but his eyes didn't joke. He'd read the text too. We drove to Riverside Park with a bag of snacks and a hope that felt too fragile for the cold wind. Families were everywhere, strollers, balloons, dogs on leashes. Volunteers wore matching vests, herding children toward bouncy castles and lemonade stands. I scanned the crowd like a searchlight. And then, there she was. Olivia, sitting on the swing set's edge, feet barely brushing the mulch. A foster mother I recognized from the folder, temporary placement, 6 months, stood nearby, chatting with another parent. Olivia's backpack, the same one from the visitation room, hung from the swing beside her. She wasn't swinging, she was staring at the sky, squinting into the sun like she was trying to memorize it before it disappeared. I tugged Nate's sleeve. Let's not rush her. He nodded. Just, be around. So we started playing catch. Ridiculous, uncoordinated catch. Nate threw too high, I missed on purpose, both of us laughing too loud. I caught her glancing, once, twice, each time a little longer. Finally, Nate tossed the ball wide, rolling to her swing. She bent down, picked it up, and held it out to him. Good arm, he said, crouching to her height. Olivia looked from him to me, then to our red shirts. Something flickered behind her eyes, suspicion, recognition, maybe both. You came, she said quietly, as if testing the idea before it could break. Of course, I said. You said you liked swings, right? I didn't say it, she replied. Mallory said it. Touché. We sat on the grass, letting her lead the silence. After a while, she started tracing shapes in the dirt with a stick, circles that looped back on themselves. Nate, trying to be casual, asked, "What's that one?" She frowned. A forever. It's supposed to never end, but it always does. My heart caught in my throat. Nate's hand brushed mine. We didn't say anything, you don't fix a wound by naming it. Then something unexpected happened. A balloon popped near the bouncy castle, sharp as gunfire. Olivia flinched, dropped her stick, and bolted, straight into the small wooded edge of the park. I ran. Not the graceful kind of running, but the desperate kind, the please don't disappear kind. I found her crouched behind a tree, breathing hard, her little hands over her ears. Hey, it's okay, I said, kneeling in the dirt. It was just a balloon. She shook her head, tears streaking mud down her cheeks. It sounded like when the door slammed. When she left. I froze. She. Her biological mother. The file had mentioned neglect, but never the day it ended. I didn't ask questions. I just sat beside her and waited until her breathing steadied. Finally, she whispered, "You're wearing red." I told you I would, I said. You didn't tell me, she corrected, sniffing. The message did. I frowned. Message? On your phone. She looked at me, her expression too old for 5. I saw her type it. Her? The lady from before. The one who brought me to Mallory's office. She said, "They'll come if I tell them where to go." My skin prickled. That wasn't in any report. When we got back to the picnic area, Mallory was there, clipboard in hand, chatting with another caseworker. I caught her sleeve. Did you text us last night? About the park? She blinked. No. We don't text from personal numbers. Why? Before I could answer, Olivia tugged my sleeve. It was her, she said softly, pointing toward the parking lot. A woman in a denim jacket was standing by a car, watching us. Even from a distance, I saw the resemblance, the same brown hair, the same wary tilt of the head. Who is that? Nate asked. But I already knew. My stomach turned cold. Olivia whispered, "That's my other mom." The woman raised a hand, not quite a wave, more like a question. Then she got into her car and drove away. Mallory's voice was sharp now. You saw who? But Olivia had already crawled into my lap, pressing her face into my shoulder like she was hiding from the world. I wrapped my arms around her, feeling her heartbeat flutter against mine. She found us, I murmured, my voice trembling. The mother who left her, she found us. Nate stared toward the empty road, his jaw set. Then what happens now? Mallory didn't answer. Somewhere behind us, another balloon popped. But this time Olivia didn't flinch. She just held on tighter. The drive home that afternoon was silent, except for the rhythmic squeak of Olivia's shoes rubbing against the back seat. She didn't look out the window. She didn't hum or ask questions like she had the first time we met her. She just held that battered backpack tight against her chest, as if the world might fall away if she let go. When we got home, she didn't want dinner. She didn't even ask to watch TV. She just stood in the doorway of her new room, a small space with yellow curtains and a quilt my mom had sewn when we started the adoption process years ago, and whispered she was supposed to be gone. I didn't ask who. I already knew. Mallory called that night. Her tone was too calm to be casual. I've confirmed what you saw. Olivia's biological mother, Rebecca, was released 6 weeks ago. Rehab completion, good behavior, the whole checklist. We weren't notified because she relinquished parental rights permanently. So she can't, I started. No, Mallory cut in quickly. She can't take Olivia. Legally, she's done. But sometimes, they want to see. To make sure their child is alive. It's complicated. Complicated? Nate repeated. She showed up at a foster event. She texted us. That's not complicated. That's desperate, Mallory said softly. She lost everything. Some of them can't let go cleanly. That night, after Olivia finally fell asleep, curled into a ball so tight her knees nearly touched her chin, I found the folded napkin from her backpack again. The one with confetti balloons. On the back, in faded blue pen, were words I hadn't noticed before: "Happy 3rd birthday, my little star. Mommy's coming back soon." I sat on the floor and cried until the ink blurred. The next few weeks were quiet, almost too much so. Olivia began adjusting, tiny steps, like a bird testing a branch. She started leaving her shoes by the door. She let me brush her hair without flinching. Once, she even laughed, a quick, breathless giggle when Nate burned pancakes and declared we were having crispy clouds instead. But sometimes, when she thought we weren't looking, she'd stare out the living room window for long stretches. Waiting. Listening. Hoping, or dreading, I couldn't tell which. Then one morning, a letter came. No return address, just our names scrawled in looping cursive that made my stomach knot. Inside was a single page, trembling words in blue ink. Please tell her I'm sorry. I don't want to take her back. I just want her to know I didn't forget. I've been clean for 14 months. I thought I saw her once in the store, same eyes. I froze. I couldn't say anything. Please, don't tell her I'm dead to her. I'm trying to stay alive because of her. Nate found me sitting at the kitchen table, the letter open in front of me. What are you going to do? He asked quietly. I don't know, I whispered. She's Olivia's past. How do I protect her from something that shaped her? Before he could answer, we heard a small voice behind us. She's not dead? We froze. Olivia stood there, hair tangled, holding the letter in both hands. I didn't even hear her come downstairs. She said she was gone forever, Olivia continued, her voice trembling. But she's not gone. She saw me. Sweetheart, I started, but she stepped back, eyes wide, the kind of fear that comes from too many broken promises. You said she can't come back, she whispered. You said I'm safe. You are safe, I said quickly, but she was already running upstairs, slamming her door so hard the frame rattled. That night, she refused dinner again. When I went to check on her, the backpack was gone. I panicked, checked every room, the yard, even the street. Nothing. My heart was pounding so hard I couldn't breathe. Then Nate called from the porch. Found her. She was sitting under the oak tree in our front yard, curled up with the backpack in her lap. It was pouring rain, soaking through her pajamas, but she didn't seem to care. I was waiting for her car, she said when she saw me. Sometimes she forgets what day it is. I thought maybe she'd come tonight. I sat beside her in the mud, not caring that my clothes clung to me. Sweetheart, she's not coming tonight. But we're here. We always will be. Her lip quivered. Even if I do bad things? I swallowed hard. Even then. It wasn't a perfect answer. It wasn't enough to fix years of fear. But she nodded, just once, and leaned against me, shivering. Later, When she finally slept in our bed between us, I whispered into the dark, "She's healing, but she's haunted." Nate took my hand. "Then we stay," he said. "Until the haunting becomes a home." I didn't know it then, but Rebecca wasn't done. The next morning, we'd find something else on our porch, a small stuffed bear with a faded pink ribbon around its neck. And tucked under its arm, a note. "She used to call this one Mr. Bright. Please don't throw him away." It was 6:14 a.m. when I opened the door and saw him sitting there. A small, soggy teddy bear, its fur matted and its bow ribbon frayed, leaning against the welcome mat like he'd been waiting all night. The rain had stopped hours ago, but the smell of damp earth still clung to the air. Nate was behind me, half awake, holding a mug of coffee. "What in the world?" he murmured. Then we saw the note. "She used to call this one Mr. Bright. Please don't throw him away." Nate read it twice before speaking. "It's her again." I nodded, my stomach sinking. "She must have come last night." He stepped out onto the porch, scanning the street. No cars, no footprints in the damp soil. Just the quiet of early morning, the kind that feels heavier than noise. We brought the bear inside and left it on the counter. I couldn't bring myself to touch it again. It felt like holding a ghost. When Olivia came downstairs later, she froze mid-step. Her eyes locked on the bear instantly. She didn't say a word. Just walked up, reached out, and brushed her fingers over its matted fur. Then, quietly, "He was mine." Her voice cracked on the last word. Nate and I exchanged a look. "You remember him?" I asked softly. She nodded. "He used to talk to me when she was gone. I'd tell him when the lights went off or when I was scared." She looked up at me, tears spilling now. "Why did she send him?" I knelt beside her, choosing each word like it might explode if I got it wrong. "Maybe she wanted you to have something good back. Something that made you happy." Olivia hugged the bear to her chest so tightly I thought it might burst at the seams. "Does that mean she still loves me?" "Yes," I said, because anything else would have shattered her completely. But love doesn't always mean someone can stay. That day, Mallory came by. She sat at our kitchen table, legal folder in front of her, looking more tired than usual. "I spoke with Rebecca," she said finally. She admitted leaving the bear. "She's been in a halfway house about 30 miles from here. She says she just wanted Olivia to know she's not forgotten." "She's crossing lines," Nate said sharply. Mallory nodded. "I told her that. She promised it won't happen again. But she's fragile. I think she believes she's helping." I wanted to believe that too, but a quiet unease was already taking root. That night, when I went to check on Olivia, she was whispering softly under her blanket. I paused by the door, listening. "Good night, Mr. Bright," she murmured. "Mommy says she's sorry. But I think she's still watching." A chill ran down my spine. Over the next few days, Olivia changed. Not in the way she had before, this time, it was subtler. She started packing her backpack again. Hiding food. Asking when her real mom could visit. One morning, she asked me the question I'd been dreading. "Can I have two moms?" I hesitated. "You can love two people, sweetheart. That's okay. But right now, we're the ones who get to take care of you. We're your forever home." She studied me for a long time. "Forever doesn't mean always," she said finally, and went back to coloring. Later that week, Nate and I drove to the halfway house with Mallory. I didn't want to see Rebecca, but part of me needed to. Needed to look her in the eye and understand the woman whose shadow lingered over every quiet fear our daughter had. She was sitting on the porch when we arrived, thin, pale, hands fidgeting in her lap. When she saw us, her eyes filled instantly. "You must be Mara," she said, standing. Her voice trembled like it hadn't been used in months. "You're the one who got her to smile again." I didn't know what to say. My throat was too tight. "I'm not trying to take her," she said quickly. "I swear it." I I can't stop seeing her when I close my eyes. The way she used to hum when she drew. The way she'd wait at the window for me, even when she knew I wasn't coming. She started crying, quietly, almost ashamed of the sound. Do you know what that does to you? Knowing you're the one she waited for, and you never showed up? I wanted to hate her. God, I wanted to. But instead, I saw the same heartbreak I'd seen in Olivia, the same lost, raw ache. When we left, Mallory put a hand on my shoulder. You did the right thing, coming here. Sometimes closure isn't about doors. It's about not letting the ghost choose when to knock. That night, when I tucked Olivia in, she asked, "Is she okay?" "She's trying to be," I said softly. Olivia nodded. "Then I'll try too." And for the first time, she placed Mr. Bright on her nightstand, not in her backpack. It felt like the smallest miracle. But miracles, I was learning, often come before storms. Because 2 days later, we got a call from the school. Olivia was missing. The call came at 2:47 p.m., the kind that splits time into before and after. "Mara, it's Principal Rhodes," the voice said, too calm, too careful. "We've checked the grounds 3 times. Olivia's not here." For a second, I couldn't even process the words. I just kept staring at the living room wall, the way people stare at something solid when their insides are shaking apart. "What do you mean, not there?" I finally managed. "She was supposed to stay for art club." "She signed out early," he interrupted. "With someone she called her mother." I swear my heart stopped. Her what? The room tilted. Nate grabbed his keys without a word. Mallory wasn't answering her phone. The 15-minute drive to the school felt like hours, my brain racing with every possible scenario, every street corner she could be standing on, every face that might have smiled at her the wrong way. When we got there, the parking lot was half empty. A police car was already parked out front. The officer met us at the door with that look, the one that's supposed to be reassuring but only makes you want to scream. "They're reviewing the cameras now," he said. "Looks like she left at 1:15 with a woman in a denim jacket." My knees nearly gave out. "Rebecca. Is she dangerous?" the officer asked quickly. "No," I said, shaking my head. "Not dangerous. Just lost." The footage was grainy, but there was no mistaking her. Rebecca, holding Olivia's hand, leading her toward the parking lot. Olivia looked hesitant but not frightened, like a child following a familiar story she wasn't sure she believed anymore. The officer's radio crackled. A sighting came through, gray sedan, heading west toward Millstone Creek. My stomach lurched. That was the same direction as the halfway house. We were in the car before anyone could stop us. The drive blurred into a tunnel of sirens and fear. My mind kept looping through her last words that morning. "Mommy, do you think Mr. Bright remembers me when I'm at school?" I'd smiled. "Of course he does. He's probably counting the minutes till you come home." If I'd known what that day would bring, I'd have held her tighter. When we finally found the car, it was parked off the side of a dirt road near the creek. The doors were open. Rebecca sat on the grass, her face pale, her hands trembling. Olivia was beside her, clutching Mr. Bright. She looked up as I ran toward her, eyes wide, not scared, just confused. "I told you she'd come," Rebecca said quietly, like we were finishing a conversation. "She wanted to see the place where we used to feed ducks." Mallory arrived minutes later, out of breath, clutching her phone. The police pulled Rebecca aside while I knelt beside Olivia. "Sweetheart," I said, trying to steady my voice, "why did you leave school?" "She said she talked to you," Olivia whispered. "That you said it was okay. That I could see the ducks if I promised to come home after." I felt something inside me break. Rebecca was crying now. "I didn't mean to scare anyone. I just wanted one afternoon. Just one." Mallory's voice was sharp but trembling. "You violated contact orders, Rebecca. This isn't how healing works." Rebecca's eyes met mine, full of guilt and something else, something almost pleading. You have to understand, she said. She used to sit by that creek and wait for me. Every day. I thought maybe if I brought her back, she'd remember I did love her once. There were no villains in that moment. Just 3 women who'd loved the same child in different, broken ways. The police didn't arrest her. They took her statement, then quietly told us she'd lose visitation rights permanently. Rebecca didn't fight it. She just looked at Olivia one last time and whispered, "Be better than me, baby. Be brave." When we got home, Olivia refused to let go of Mr. Bright. She sat on the couch, wet shoes leaving prints on the fabric, and said softly, "She didn't take me away. She brought me back." That night, she crawled into our bed again. I woke up around 2 a.m. to find her asleep between us, one hand gripping Nate's arm, the other holding the bear. "Do you think she hates me now?" she mumbled in her sleep. "No," I whispered. "She's just trying to let you go." And maybe I was speaking to both of them. The next morning, Olivia asked if we could visit the creek again, this time, together. So we did. We fed the ducks. She threw bits of bread and laughed when they squabbled. For the first time, she didn't look over her shoulder. That evening, Mallory called. "The adoption's been expedited," she said. "After yesterday, the board agreed. You're officially her parents." I hung up the phone and looked at Nate, tears streaming down my face. "She's ours," I whispered. "Forever, this time." He hugged me so tightly it hurt. The visit was quiet. No social workers, no paperwork, just a park bench near the duck pond, the same one where everything had once gone wrong. Rebecca looked healthier. Her hair was pulled back, her hands steady this time. She held a small envelope in her lap and smiled when she saw Olivia. "Hi, Bug," she whispered. Olivia hesitated, clutching Mr. Bright, then took a cautious step forward. "Hi." For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Rebecca said softly, "I'm not here to take anything. I just came to give you this." She handed her the envelope. Inside was a photo, Rebecca holding baby Olivia, swaddled in a hospital blanket. On the back, in neat handwriting. "This is when you made me brave. Even if I wasn't ready, you made me try." Olivia studied it, then looked up. "Are you leaving?" Rebecca nodded. "There's a program in another city. I think I need to start over. But I wanted you to know, I'm better because you're loved now." Olivia was quiet for a long time. Then she reached into her backpack and handed over a folded paper. "It's my letter," she said. "You can have it now." Rebecca took it, her hands trembling. "Thank you," she whispered. When we left, Olivia turned back once. "Goodbye, Mommy," she said softly, not sad, just sure. Rebecca smiled through tears. "Goodbye, my star." That night, Olivia hung the photo beside her bed and whispered before sleeping, "Now everyone who loved me gets to rest." And for the first time, it really felt true. Next birthday, Olivia chose everything herself: star-shaped balloons, vanilla cupcakes, and glitter that somehow ended up on every surface of the house. When the guests arrived, she didn't hide this time. She greeted each kid with a grin so wide it hurt to look at, the kind of joy you only earn after surviving something heavy. Nate lit the candles. I held the cake while everyone sang. And when it was her turn to blow them out, she didn't hesitate. She took a deep breath, looked around at all of us, and said, "I know what birthdays mean now." "What's that, sweetheart?" I asked. She smiled. "It's when people are glad you exist." The room went quiet for half a heartbeat, then the cheers and laughter returned, louder than ever. She blew out the candles, threw her arms around me, and whispered, "I'm real." Later that night, after the guests had gone, I found her asleep under a blanket of paper stars she'd made herself. Mr. Bright sat beside her cake slice, still wearing a tiny party hat. And for once, I didn't worry about tomorrow. The house felt full, of light, of laughter, of proof that love, given time, can make new beginnings out of anything. The year that followed was made of little miracles. Olivia started second grade and came home with paint on her hands instead of fear in her eyes. She joined the school play, stood on stage under 2 bright lights, and searched the crowd until she found us. When she did, she waved so hard the paper star on her costume nearly tore off. That Christmas, she hung her own ornament, a photo of the 3 of us framed in glitter glue. Family, she'd written in uneven letters. Forever, even when forever changes. Sometimes she'd still ask about Rebecca, not with sadness, but curiosity. We'd tell her the truth, that love can break and still be real, that people can start over. And every night before bed, she'd touch the picture by her window and whisper, "Good night, both moms." That's how healing sounded in our house, soft, steady, and certain. By the time Olivia turned 9, the house felt like it had always been hers. Her laughter lived in the walls, her drawings covered the fridge like proof of joy rediscovered. That year, she asked to volunteer with Nate at the shelter, for kids who were waiting like I was. She brought cookies and coloring books, and when one shy little boy asked if families really come back, she smiled and said, "Sometimes they don't, but new ones find you anyway." On the drive home, she leaned against me and whispered, "I think I finally know what forever feels like." And in that moment, watching her eyes shine in the streetlight, I realized she hadn't just been given a second chance at life. She'd given us one too.